Number 2, Georgia versus 9, Ole Miss. This game's got a little different feel than Michigan State, Ohio State. Georgia's a 10.5-point favorite. Do you want to what are your thoughts on this game? Because I think there's a lot of different things that could happen here.
I mean, I think Georgia's going to do the thing. They're going to be tied at halftime, and they'll win by 10.
So the hook gets you. Not cover, but by half a point.
By half a point.
Vegas.
Which fits your thing of Georgia money line, Ole Miss plus 10.5.
Yeah, I do like Ole Miss to cover. I think the one key metric here is Ole Miss has to be able to run the ball effectively. You've seen Auburn, like go back to the Georgia-Auburn game. The reason Auburn was in that game and forcing turnovers, and there's multiple reasons Auburn was in that game, but the reason they had the lead early and had Georgia on their heels was because Peyton Thorne broke a 60-yard run. They were running the ball effectively, falling forward, getting 4 and 5 yards after contact, and it really Georgia was not able to handle that. And then you go to some other games, even the Missouri game last week. Schrader really dominant on the ground. I don't think that's something that Georgia was expecting. Maybe not that they weren't expecting it, but I don't think that was the emphasis because they had Brady Cook and Luther Burden, and then for Schrader to run out and be as good on the ground as he was. I think Ole Miss needs that from Quinshon Judkins. If they can get that, and then it opens up play for Jackson Dart, and that's a big if because Georgia's got a great defense. But you have to follow the blueprint for teams that have done it already. And again, nobody's been able to knock Georgia off. But I think Ole Miss is the team that's best equipped to do it to this point.
Yeah, looking at their schedule, they're the last frontier before the SEC championship. I don't think Tennessee's going to be able to do it. And Georgia Tech? Yeah, they could show up.
Georgia Tech's been a season ruiner this year. I don't think they can do it either. But they have wins over Miami and North Carolina right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was North Carolina's also in a bad place mentally after the Virginia loss, which was absurd. I think about that game every third day.
Okay, so you said Georgia to win, Ole Miss to cover. How does Ole Miss win? I know you're picking Georgia, but what is the way Ole Miss wins?
Jackson Dart, using his feet. I think if you can you're gonna have to lean on the run game, but you have to start. I think if you start running some option stuff, keep them. I think run it so much that they have to commit and then let him play action because he has a cannon. I think he's a good quarterback. He played a good half against us, but I think he's gonna have to win it. Kind of just playing in between the hashes and being smart. Let him use his legs, kind of just like Jaden Daniels, Jalen Milroe. It's kind of the new SEC quarterback who's now run heavy, which is kind of really cool to see. But I think him and Judkins, they're going to have to put the game on their back. I don't think their defense is going to be able to stop much. So they're going to have to put up a score every other possession.
Yeah. Problem is Georgia has a very sneaky good passing attack as well. It's not something you pick up on just watching the game because they're not throwing the ball all over the field. It's 5 yards here, 5 yards here, 10 yards here, and then a 40-yard, and then 5 yards here, and then 10 yards here. You see what I'm saying? So it's sneaky. If you go look at the stats and you look at teams around the nation, it's like, oh crap, Georgia's got a top 15 passing attack and a top 10 defense and they're really really good to the point that the one area that they haven't been amazing at in the last several years, going back to Jake Fromm and even a little bit last year, they were heavy in the run game, and then now it's like and now they have a top 15 passing offense too. While it doesn't feel like an elite Georgia team like the last several seasons because they're letting games stay so close so late into those games, there's not really many holes. Even with even with Brock Bowers being out, they just have guys that plug and play.
Which is beautiful. It's every coordinator's dream. It's just rip and replace with somebody that's just as good.
Yeah, and not even necessarily, hey, let's put a tight end in who's going to, replace Brock Bowers, but okay, that's fine. Ladd McConkey's going to step up today. Or, okay, Dejan Edwards is going to have his big day today. It's like guys all over the field. Just because your best player goes down doesn't mean you lost your offense. You have guys everywhere. And that's a luxury that Georgia has that not many teams have. Mikey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at it. Georgia has the number 6 passing offense in the country right now.
Yeah.
So, like you were saying, they average 9 yards per attempt, which is, if I look at it, not way up there at all. It's pretty far down the list. But, I mean, I think Georgia's going to win. I do think it's going to be close, like you guys are saying. But I feel like it's going to be close, but it won't feel as close. I feel like Georgia's just going to keep them at an arm's length for the entire game, and then Ole Miss is going to try to keep clawing their way back, and then you're going to think that they're in the game, but I don't think Georgia ever lets it get too close, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think Georgia just kind of keeps them there and just holds them there for the whole game.
So you think Georgia gets out to a 2-possession lead early and then they just trade blows the rest of the way?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's never necessarily in doubt, but that's one that that's one that in the third and fourth quarter all of a sudden gets it's a nail biter because nobody can afford a mistake.
Yeah.
If that is the case, then yes, Georgia wins because I think they're more likely to force the turnover than Ole Miss is for sure.
I agree.
So again, I like Georgia to win. I like them to win by 7 or 8 points.